here we got Klaus. Do you want to give a little bit of background on you and Klaus? Like, it seemed like you guys maybe
Yeah.
had some sort of a relationship before this, and I was actually offended on behalf of you, Tim. Even though we don't know each other that well, like you seem like a really nice, straightforward guy. I was kind of upset with Klaus with how he did you on this one. I got to be honest. So, trigger warning. He might upset you too. But how do you
Yeah.
know Klaus? How'd you guys meet?
So he was one of the first UK like fruit guys. We met at a raw vegan meetup in the UK, and I was like, oh, there's another dude, male London kid that's like into this stuff. He's into handstands and climbing, and he seemed like a really cool guy. High Carb Klaus, he was originally called,
Hmm.
and he like cycled around Asia and stuff. And so we met, and then he started to do plant-based news. I supported the show. I hosted a few shows. I invited him round to my flat, and we filmed one in my flat. I went round to his, and I always supported. I promoted plant-based news when they were nothing from the beginning, and did stuff with them. And then when the whole fast forward to when I became not vegan, and they started to post videos about me, thumbnails of me that have been photoshopped to look extra skinny
During the
from
fast,
extra.
right? The fast
Yeah,
thumbnails.
and
Yeah.
it was saying like 10 things the internet said was safe that's dangerous or stuff, and it was like
Yeah.
sun gazing, and I didn't watch the video, but I see enough comments and stuff around it, and I was like, a thumbnail like that from someone who I always thought was cool, and they just started to do loads of videos about me. Like they really started to attack me with other doctors blaming the fast and all this stuff, and I was like, how like blind are you? I tell you I was suffering before I fasted, and they're still blaming the fasting.
Yeah.
I don't get like who's fasting for jokes. I'm an athlete. Why the fuck would I stop eating for 35 days if I was fine and then go,
Because
oh
he has an eating disorder.
yeah, I think is he going to say that in this clip?
I think he does
So
say it in this clip.
anyway, he said that stuff, and I was like, dude, R.I.P. plant-based news, man. Is that's how you're going to go on? It's not about the truth anymore. It's not about it. There's no integrity in it. Like plant-based news used to be just promoting the positiveness of veganism, right? Then it became about this putting off keto. Like they were attacking ketogenic stuff.
Yeah.
They're attacking this. They started just attacking people rather than just promoting what was positive. And that's just downhill from there. It's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
And realizing that it's just Klaus and Robbie. It's like two guys from London that aren't that healthy themselves. That like because you have a logo and a brand name, to other vegans it will look like some big entity. It's just two dudes who just know what they've been told by Dr. Greger or some other doctor.
Yeah.
Like there's no substance to it.
I just thought it was so funny that if you look up online, you just search plant-based news co-owner. There's this dude that co-owns it. Is like one of the biggest investment capital guys globally. He's a Saudi
Sheikh.
prince, like a
Prince.
Prince Khalid. Like this dude, his father owns a yacht that he bought from Donald Trump in the 80s, and this yacht was used as like a bond. The yacht was used as a Bond villain's lair in a Bond movie. This guy has rooms full of trophy hunted animal heads all over it. He's got a palatial estate that's got 200 bedrooms. Prince Khalid had like 89 BMWs by the time he was 16 or something. This is the co-owner of Plant-Based News. He was going to save the world and make it sustainable. So I mean, it's kind of sad to me when people who seemingly nice guys like Klaus and whatever the other guy's name is, running a small YouTube channel, their whole operation gets bought out by a dude who also invests in like transhumanism and human machine interface and all this other nonsense. So just goes to show right there, like the corporate connections and the global connections of veganism are real. Like this is not just a grassroots thing anymore. This is about big industry pushing a big agenda. So yeah,
Absolutely.
let's check this out. Let's see what he says about you here. You had a question, I guess.
Oh, I don't know, man. What was I think I was gonna say Tim Shieff, but I don't really want to dwell on him, but just use him as an example. If somebody has plant-based diet doesn't work out, do you not think them not doing the one thing that everybody believes they have to do, i.e. supplement B12, do you not think, does that not explain some of the issues?
Dude, well, most of these people are supplementing B12. I think when you pull Tim Shieff and you say, well, Tim Shieff did this, Tim Shieff drank piss, therefore all ex-vegans equal invalid. I don't know. I think that's a poor argument.
I'm saying the one
terrible
fundamental thing everybody in the medical community and everybody just that knows anything about nutrition agree you need to do on a vegan diet. If you don't do it and then you run into issues, And then
Would you blame vegan?
like,
Is blaming veganism not fair? Didn't Tim Shieff take B12?
Surely comes into it at some point.
Didn't he say he took B12? I'm not very familiar. I don't really follow.
I had a
this
B12
stuff.
injection and I took supplements. I did the spray. I didn't take them regularly, so I didn't go, oh, I take B12.
Yeah.
I got the spray. I had the spray. I did the injection once. But do you think B12? And we can go more if you want to. But do you think B12 would have given me a wet dream? Do you think B12
Right.
would have? Do you think I would have felt satiated after a B12 tablet?
Name the nutrient. Name the magical nutrient that you can't get on a vegan diet. Let's say, I don't know. Whatever gave you a wet dream. What's that nutrient?
Yeah, it's beyond what we can do. Like, science is limited. What is in plant food that has a label, and then there's what is in plant food that doesn't have a label, and the same with animal products. Just because science hasn't discovered it doesn't mean there's not life force or something within these foods that gives us something. Like, yes, you can identify things in plants and meats that's similar, but then there's bioavailability, and then there's stuff that isn't even identified.
Absolutely, right? The enzymatic reactions required to break down compounds require minerals. I mean, so you've got this homeostasis is being maintained to generate energy throughout the body that's dependent on bioavailability of nutrients, that depends on, the availability of sunlight. Sometimes we're being affected by so many different systems. To just try to name one nutrient, oh, you look on paper, you can get all these nutrients if you take this supplement and you eat these foods. It's so short-sighted.
Yeah, short-sighted.
All right, so let's keep going here.
Where have you been?
But are you aware of this from? I would have to ask Tim, and I thought I remember him saying that he did take B12, that he did use that, but he didn't want to take antibiotics and go that route. So, but yeah, I mean, we don't even have to just focus on Tim Shieff.
Sure.
There's loads.
I don't want to talk about
It seems like you and Tim. I feel bad for you guys because it seems like Tim was
I
a friend
think
of
it's
yours.
enough.
Wasn't Tim a friend of yours?
Yeah, man. I mean, went over to his house a couple of times. Came over to mine, did podcasts, really friendly events, for sure.
Yeah.
And I actually apologized to him for one of the videos and the thumbnail I did. I just said, it wasn't my proudest moment, but putting this information out about the things you're into and how they
Admitting you photoshopping and putting it out.
explain potentially like your ill health perhaps out trumped a bad thumbnail, so that's the way I said it to him, but he obviously wasn't happy and sent me a couple of angry voice messages. Haven't really heard from him since.
Yeah, I mean, it seems kind of, I don't know, it kind of bums me out to see people. I see these vegans leaving their families, calling their families murderers, saying that, Gary Yourofsky saying, my mother's a psychopath. She's completely psychotic. That was actually a decent Yourofsky.
Crazy, right?
I mean, to me, that's sad. It's like, I'm all about family, man. And we're all about communities and families. And I think it's great. If people want to grow their own food and be vegan, that's cool. But have you ever known somebody to live completely off of their own food as a vegan? It's kind of a interesting one to look at.
I don't know anybody that grows their own food.
I used to say only vegans can judge me. Now I'd say only vegan gardeners can judge me. Because they're the ones because they're in the dirt. They see the worms that they're killing and the other thing. You know what I mean? Like, and the truth is, vegan gardeners wouldn't judge you for not being vegan. Like,
yeah. Well, as soon as you get into gardening, you get into food production, and you think to yourself, okay, could I feed my whole?
You see it.
You can't feed your whole family. You can't feed yourself on your own land using vegetable agriculture. Not going to happen. Even if you got a fruit forest.
So, is there more from this? I remember I tuned in for a short moment, and he mentioned that I had bulimia or something.
That's what I was trying to find, but I don't know if it was earlier or not.
We can address that.
Really vegan. Actually, let me see if I can find ideologically vegan at all. Every time I would try to pull meat out from the diet at all, I'd just feel really low energy. It wasn't like I jumped into it. It was like, oh, okay, no, I'm not going to be able to find it here, and I don't want to scroll through Tim. But in this thing, he did say Tim had bulimia, and I was taken aback. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, it's the reaction. Yeah.
And I didn't want to just go on and on about it, but I did kind of hold his feet to the fire a little bit. And he said, yes, Tim had bulimia, and then he backed off a bit. He said, oh, well, maybe it could have been interpreted as bulimia.
He said I admitted in a video that I put my fingers down my throat and threw up.
Yeah. So what's he talking about?
Yeah, I did that. Like, have you ever been drunk and then before bed you're like, fucking get this out of me? I've done that a few
Dude,
times.
yeah, I've been like, if your stomach's growling, you're like, I'm gonna puke.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it now.
Yeah,
Just try and make it happen.
yeah, some people are terrified of puking, right? But there's a button in your back of your throat for a reason. Now, what's happened is there's this thing got labeled bulimia, and you've got a mental disorder if you do that. And so then that makes the spiral worse because people that do that start to feel guilty for it. Then they start to make it a secret and they start to hide that kind of shit, right? What happened was I overate on a meal, and then I wasn't satisfied, and I overate on banana smoothie. And that fills your fucking belly, and I wasn't satiated, right? And I'm not afraid to go to the bathroom like the fucking Greeks did and go, oh, eject, I've overeaten, my stomach doesn't feel good. Boom,
Yeah.
right? But you can put a label on that and call it what you want. I was just overeating, and there's a button in the back of your throat that fucking helped clear me out.
Shame, Tim,
Exactly.
shame.
So that shaming makes it dangerous for young girls in society, because then they start to think I've got an issue, and it makes it worse, rather than maybe one time they just didn't feel good. I don't know, I can't really speak deeply on this. I'm just trying to analyze it from the other perspective.
Yeah.
And some people are so afraid of vomiting themselves, and you shouldn't be afraid of vomiting. And if you have overeaten, it's not a go-to. It's not something you should do on a fucking regular, but it's something that you can do as a human if you need to.
So it's not like you're eating a meal, looking in the mirror, thinking, you're so fat, you're such a slut, and then making yourself puke. It's like a couple times you may have overeaten and you threw up.
2 or 3 times max. And I was like, yeah, and I say that in the video because I think that we should be open. The thing is with me, I'll speak about wet dream, urine therapy, vomiting after I've overeaten. And I'm not, and because I'm open, there's nothing about me hidden that's secret. I don't have some weird porn fetish or something like that. Like, I'll just be the kid that's not afraid to be open, right? And if more humans would speak openly like this, we could start to get to the truth of each other, and there wouldn't be all this shady voyeurism, hidden, secret, nasty realm. That there's a real dark, you hear about pedophilia in governments and these islands and shit. Like, is that shit real? It could be fucking real. That's the real fucking.
This is the thing. People don't want to talk about the real darkness. They don't want to face the real darkness, so they invent phantasms, and they just, they diddle with their phantasms, right? So, bad man Tim's so bad,
Yeah. It's fucking mental, man.
Right. So then the real issues, the actual real evil in the world, just kind of slides right by. We're not equipped to deal with it anyways. Most people aren't even equipped to deal with the real darkness that they're engaged in, maybe regularly on a regular basis. So they project.
And once we get over this diet conversation, like, hopefully we can get over this and we get to the real conversations. Like, you want to talk about fucking evolutionary theory, what's NASA really fucking up to? Like, this is the stuff that we're really distracted from. Like, we're arguing about this stuff, and there's spray in the sky that is poisoning the land. Like,
right, yeah, weather openly being modified. Then publishing papers about we're going to modify the weather. We're going to totally control the weather.
Geoengineering, man. Like, we don't even know the depths of this, because they do stuff year after year where they'll just turn it up a slight bit year after year. So you don't notice that they're doing this stuff. But when I was a kid, the skies were blue. There wasn't grids in the sky from plane trails. Like, they weren't patterned like it is today. And I'm the one looking up, and I'm open enough to go, something's not right here. But the only thing it's ever made me do,
their face. People can't see what's right in front of them, literally. Like, we're living. That's what's so sad and so crazy about society today. We get basically brainwashed and duped into just living in pretty abject situations. And in certain regards, life is so comfortable, life is so great. Yes, all this is true. Like, we're very fortunate to have modern sewage systems and stuff like that, but people don't want to deal with the muck that's around us, right? You mentioned institutionalized pedophilia. Like, these things are real, and these things happen. And these things are happening right now, yet we're over here fighting over whether we should ban meat or not. Like we have people marching in the streets to make it illegal to eat the most nutrient-dense foods. Marching in the street, take away my rights to eat these foods, but no one cares about Jimmy Savile. No one's talking about the Queen knighting some of these people like Savile.
Yeah. The key, though, out of all of it is it's all disempowerment, and it's about taking your power back, being responsible for yourself, being responsible for your health, being responsible for your families, as you're all about. That's the key. All it's ever done, realizing this stuff, whether it's true or not, what it's done, it's served me positively, because it's made me go, holy shit, take care of yourself. Don't worry about all that. Take yourself to yoga. Go out into nature on your own. Spend time. Go wild camping. go put yourself into survival. That's one of the things that reason we're so depressed is because of the comforts that we have. Animals don't. Only animals that you'd ever see depressed are like a dog that's trapped in a house. They live in the element of survival that we should have on a regular basis would make us feel alive, and we don't have that.
Yeah. That's interesting. You know those studies they talk about with they put the rats in a cage and they said if we just give the rat cocaine, we give them a lever and it hits the lever, they'll get a cocaine and they won't eat. They'll just get the coke over and over again. But when you take those same rats and you put them in a big cage with other rats with wheels and things they can play with, they don't give a shit about the cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
fascinating.
it's kind of society right there. There's the experiment, the holographic image of what society is right now.
Yeah, we got kiddie playgrounds, but we need adult playgrounds. Man, they build parkour parks in some countries in Scandinavia, and they're so much fun. It's like an adult playground.
Yeah,
we need more of that.
Right. Well, I mean, just some trees going out in the woods and stuff, right? Like a lot of this stuff exists, but we live in these concrete jungles. That's why I really resonated with the parkour stuff that you did because you just reminded me of skating. Skateboarding was always you start to look at the world differently. You look at you never see a curb or a ledge and think of it the same way, or a slanted piece of concrete just becomes something that has infinite potential and possibilities, and that playfulness is so important. And so many people are afraid to even play with different ideas, different possibilities of the meaning of some of these things, or the big events that happen that are publicized globally to traumatize us all. People have absolute aversion to questioning them, and if you even talk about some of them and name them on YouTube, you get demonetized and removed. So it's not just play in the physical world. Like we've got to be able to be nimble in our minds as well.